Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namami buddham gunasagarantam sattha sada hontu sukhi averam kayo jinguncho sakalo dugandho gachanti sabbe maranang ahanca Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Karaniya matta kusalena yantang santang padang abhisamicca sakko vujoja sujoja suvacho chassa mudu anatimani. Homage to the exalted one, the worthy one, the perfectly enlightened one. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear friends in the Dhamma, today in our Dhamma discussion, we are going to discuss skillfulness, what the Buddha taught. According to Buddhism, there are very special skillfulness that we can see. And Buddha always encourages us to be skillful. And sometimes we can understand how we are successful, we are skillful. And ordinary people in the world, they think that if they can go forward in education and economy, they are successful, they are skillful. It is good in the ordinary level, even according to Buddhism, it is true. But Buddhism has explained another meaning in skillfulness. We should understand it. That is very important. And everyone likes to be successful, skillful. And here, I think the people who are seeking success in life, we should understand how we are successful in our life. And successful or success. What is the success in our life? What do you mean success in your life?
If you have a goal and reach the goal,
yes.
You feel the success.
Yes. What are the goals in your life?
It
depends. Okay. People have various goals, but the main goal of everyone is happiness. We do everything in the name of happiness. Whether a person knows a Dhamma or no, even animals, their life become happiness. And therefore, our skillfulness or our success depends on our happiness. Our success or skillfulness depends on our happiness. Everyone likes happiness, but the rare thing we have reached is happiness. Everyone does everything in the name of happiness. Finally, they end their lives without happiness, without contentment. And the reason is the path that they follow in the name of happiness is not successful. And happiness depends on how far we have purified our mind from negative thoughts. Happiness depends on the purification of our mind. Here, according to Buddhism, according to religious teachings, we should understand purification of our mind. Here, especially, we should recognize the enemies who disturb our peace of mind. According to Buddhism, there are 3 unwholesome roots that disturb our peace of mind, namely greed, anger, and delusion. And purification of mind depends on how far we have overcome defilements, so unwholesome thoughts from our mind. They are greed, anger, and delusion. If we want to overcome these negative thoughts from our mind, Buddhism has explained a path. There are primary techniques and ultimate techniques. In the primary level, Buddhism has explained some techniques how we can overcome these unwholesome mental states. The thing is, when we discuss skillfulness or happiness, our mind is the main cause, main thing. Buddha says, Mano Pubbangama Dhamma, mind is the forerunner. Mano Setta, mind is chief. Manomaya, mind made are they. Manasache paduttena bhasativa karotiva. If someone does something with impure mind, then suffering follows him, even as the wheel follows the hoof of the graft ox. On the other side, Buddha says, Mano Pubbangama Dhamma. Mano is the forerunner, Mano Setta, Mano is chief, mind is chief, Mano Maya, mind made ade, Manasache pasannena bahasativa karotiva. If someone does something with pure mind, physically or verbally, happiness follows him, even as one's shadow never leaves. If we do some bad things with impure mind, suffering follows us. If we do something with pure mind, happiness follows us like our shadow. In this situation, we should recognize real enemies in our life. Buddha says, it is very easy to defeat thousands of enemies in the battlefield, but it is so difficult that defeating our inner enemies such as greed, anger, and delusion. Defeating these inner enemies is the real victory in our life. And for that, when we are going to overcome greed, in the primary level, Buddha has explained 3 meritorious deeds, 3 wholesome deeds. What they are? Yes, Dana, Sila, Bhavana. Dana means offering something to others or charity, generosity. And how we overcome anger? The way that we can use to overcome anger is practicing loving kindness. If we think always, may all beings be well, happy and peaceful, again and again, if we can practice this technique, actually when we have some problems in our day-to-day life, we can overcome anger. According to Buddhism, if we can practice loving kindness early morning, as soon as we get up, may all beings who I meet in the day be well, happy and peaceful, then We have no right to get angry with anyone whom we meet in the daytime. As soon as we meet a person, if they have some mistakes, we should understand, I started my day by practicing loving kindness, then I have no right to hate anyone. And end of the day, if we can practice again loving kindness, may all beings who I met today be well, happy and peaceful, we can go to the bed peacefully. Not only that, practicing loving kindness, Buddha says, he who wishes attain inner peace has to practice loving kindness. Until we start loving kindness, actually, we haven't started our spiritual journey. Be sure. Until we start practicing loving kindness, we haven't started our spiritual journey. The very first step of our spiritual journey is practicing loving kindness. That is why Buddha says, Yantan santam padang abhisamicca, he who wishes attain a peaceful life has to practice loving kindness, metta bhavana. And also, if we are kind with everyone, automatically we are generous. These two things are interrelated. And when we are angry, we are greedy. When we are kind, we are generous. When we are mindful, we have three qualities: generosity, loving kindness, and wisdom. Opposite of these three things, we should understand opposite of these three things. What they are? Greed, generosity, anger, loving kindness, delusion, mindfulness. These are the opposites of these three unwholesome roads. In this situation, our skillfulness depends on our happiness. Our happiness depends on how far we have purified our mind. Purification of our mind depends on how far we have overcome these three unwholesome roads: greed, anger, and delusion. So reducing greed, anger, and delusion depends on how far we have developed generosity, loving kindness, and mindfulness. Finally, ultimate teaching in Buddhism on the path of liberation, practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness. This is the spiritual path in the name of skillfulness or proficiency that Buddha has explained this here. Yes?
Can I ask you a question? Suppose a man is a bad person, very negative, and he success if he steal or if he plans to kill. He has the skills to do it. So that makes him happy. So after happiness, we should put like ignorance. That's the step that this man has to go through learning to change all the past back. You know what I'm saying? We are thinking of the positive.
Yes.
This is a temple.
Yes.
There's no way to make mistake, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you get a guy outside that is completely blind, like negative? And where do I put it in here? Before purification, because he wants to change.
Yes, the first thing is, according to Buddhism, we can correct everyone in the world. The first thing is, we should correct our vision. And we should practice our mission. Vision and mission both are very important. First of all, if we are knowledgeable, we should understand this path. Then, we can face anyone, even though they have misbehaviors, it is not a problem us. Sometimes it affects us, but if we practice this path little by little, they can overcome their problems. But sometimes, if we have good attention, if we listen in what we taught, we can explain the path. Buddha says, if you have this understanding, if you have a friend or relative who are ready to listen in what you tell him, you should explain this path. If he is not ready to listen to you, you can't help them.
He's not humble. Because you have to listen sometimes and accept, I'm bad. I think it comes from that kind of loving itself, loving himself, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
so,
actually...
Humble?
Yes, we know, yes.
I can receive all your advice, your teaching. And if I feel like I know more than you, then I should go home. Because, I have to be humble.
Yes,
I come here to learn.
actually humble is one of the main qualities Buddha says in this path.
Yeah.
Without being humble, we can't achieve the enlightenment.
That's purification.
Yes, it is like, this is like counseling.
Yeah.
If a person who, as a client, he should be obedient and he should have good listening skills. If someone doesn't like to listen to a counselor, never a counselor can help him. And here also, because of your qualities, you are here. And being humble is one of the qualities on this path. But the thing is, first of all, we should understand this path. Then we know how we face when other people have misbehaviors. And also, because of our loving kindness, because we practice loving kindness, if we can correct them as a kind person, we should help them. That is our duty. But if they are not ready to listen to what we tell them, we can't help them.
Right. Even the Buddha says in one sutta, not the Dhamma is for the wise. The Dhamma is
Yes.
for the fool.
Yes, not only wise, Buddha has explained several qualities.
Right.
If a person is seeking truth, he has some qualities.
Yeah.
One of them is intelligence, active listening, and honesty.
Honest.
These three qualities are very important. Intelligence, active listening, and being honest. If someone has these three qualities, even though he has a lot of mistakes in his life, it means he is ready to overcome those misbehaviors. Even though some people have not these qualities, although they are intelligent, they can get the benefits from this message. Some people are intelligent, some are ready to listen in, but they are not honest. Then they can go on this path. These three qualities are very, very important.
The first one was what?
Intelligence. We should be wise. When someone explains this message, we should be intelligent, we should be wise. And also we should have good listening, active listening, gently spoken. And also we should be honest. What is the honesty that we have here? Whatever we do in the name of happiness or liberation, we should understand, why do I do these things? When I do these things, whether my greed, conceit, and self-view increase or decrease. Not only practicing Dhamma, but if you wear something, if you do anything in your life, you should understand, you should be honest, you should reflect on whether my trishna, drustimana, greed, conceit and self-view increase or decrease. If these things increase, I don't do it. If these negative thoughts decrease, I do it. This is the honesty. This is the honesty. It means we trust in spiritual development. And we have been discussing the path of happiness or the path of skillfulness. Our skillfulness depends on our happiness. Our happiness depends on our purification of mind. Purification of mind depends on how far we have overcome negative thoughts, unwholesome roots, greed, anger, and delusion. Decreasing, reducing anger, greed, and delusion depends on how far we have developed generosity, loving kindness, and mindfulness. This is the path that Buddha explained if someone wants to achieve the real success, real skillfulness. On the other side, Buddha says, Susukang vata jivama verinesu averino. I live happily without anger among the people, those who are angry. This is the one of the places that we can see our skillfulness. There are a lot of people in the world who are angry. I am a person who lives happily without anger among the people, those who are angry. When people are angry, alone, we think that I am not angry with anyone. We think ourselves. We think our confidence. We think our inner qualities. We are happy. They are struggling with others. I don't struggle with them because I have no anger. That is one of the places we can see our skillfulness. On the other side, Buddha says, Susukam vata jivama aturesu anatura, aturesu manusesu viharama anatura. I live happily without mental illnesses among the people who are mentally unhealthy. On the other side, Buddha says, Susukang mata jivama usukesu anusuka. I live without seeking sensual pleasures among the people, those who are logging in sensual pleasures. Other people always, they want to give something for their sensual pleasures. I have self-discipline in my senses. These are the places where we can see our skillfulness. When we are in the society, sometimes they are struggling with someone, or they are doing a lot of things to earning money or earning something. They are struggling with many things, many people seeking something. But we also go forward little by little in our education or in our economy. It's not a problem, but we go forward with loving kindness, with compassion, with generosity. That is the difference in our life. Yes?
Mindfulness, that's what the Buddha says, right? Mindfulness, in order to achieve happiness. But mindfulness is more like action.
We will explain mindfulness, okay?
Sure.
In future, we will explain it. Little by little we go forward, okay? And here, we explain how we develop our skillfulness. Here, we explain among the ordinary people, as the people who know Dhamma, we are different. We have differences. as I explained. Here, we explain special 3 unwholesome mental roots. Greed, anger, and delusion. Delusion. And we explain the primary techniques that how we can overcome these negative thoughts. The first one is greed. When we are reducing greed, we practice generosity. On the other side, when we are going to overcome lustful desire, there is another technique that contemplating on impurity of our physical body parts. It is one of the techniques. Okay? Can you understand what I mean? Anger means, as we mentioned before, by practicing loving kindness, little by little we can overcome anger. But we can't completely overcome greed and anger by practicing generosity and loving kindness. That is why Buddha has explained another way, the deep way, as you mentioned, mindfulness. Mindfulness is very important. That in entire Buddhism, all Buddhist doctrines can be included into 2 pillars. There are 2 pillars in Buddhism. One of them is loving kindness. The other one is wisdom. These are the pillars that we can see in Buddhism. When we practice loving kindness, we have not only loving kindness, but we have compassion, karuna, and sympathetic joy, mudita, and upekka, equanimity. There are 4 mental states. There are 4 sublime states here. The other thing is wisdom. When we are going to practice wisdom also can be divided into 2, mindfulness and mindful meditation. Mindful and mindful meditation. Both of them are very important. Mindfulness means awareness of our body and mind. We can see everywhere mindfulness. A lot of people in the world, they tell mindfulness, they teach mindfulness. Always they explain, forget your past, forget your future, live in the present moment. That is their mindfulness. Actually, Buddhism doesn't say that. What is the Buddhist mindfulness? When we develop our mindfulness, actually our memory gradually increases. That is one of the benefits of practicing mindfulness. Buddhism never says us to forget anything. Forgetting is a mistake, but forgiving is a quality. Forgiveness is a quality. Our memory gradually increases when we practice mindfulness. And Buddha says, if a person develops mindfulness, he can explain everything from birthday. Not only birth, but he can explain everything which happened in the mother's womb as the result of practicing mindfulness. Not only that, if a person who has developed mindfulness maximum level, he can explain previous lives, 500 eons, as the result of practicing mindfulness. The reason is our memory gradually increases as the result of practicing mindfulness. Not only living in the present moment, but Buddhism says mindful meditation. What is the mindful meditation? Mindful meditation means reflecting on impermanence. Not only living in the present moment with the concentrated mind, we reflect on the reality in the world as it is. What happens to our life? What is our life? Our entire life is our 6 senses. internal 6 senses and external 6 objects our entire life. What are the 6 internal senses? Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. These are the 6 internal senses. What are the 6 external objects? Forms, sounds, smells, taste, body feelings, and mental formations. What is the nature of these 12 things? These 12 senses and objects are impermanent. What is the meaning of impermanent? There are 2 words in Buddhism. That is very important. Your understanding what Buddha taught completely depends on how far you understand the impermanence. There are 2 words in Buddhism, anicca and viparinama. Anicca means impermanence, viparinama is changing. Impermanence and changing are different, but they have some similar qualities, but both of them are different. Changing is very easy to understand. Even scientists, dividing atom, they have realized changing. What is the nature of understanding changing? We think there is something outside before we experience. After we experience, it remains. This is the nature of explaining changing. This is the understanding of ordinary people. All scientists, religious teachers, all other people in the world, in the ordinary level, they explain whatever you experience at the moment, it was here before you experience. After you experience something, it will remain. It is true, but only in the conventional truth. But Buddhism explains not only conventional truth, but ultimate truth. If we know only conventional truth, we can overcome some kinds of sufferings, but not completely. If we want to overcome suffering completely, if we want to reduce delusion completely, we have to understand ultimate truth. What is the nature of ultimate truth? Before we experience, it was not here. After we experience, our experience doesn't remain. Whatever we experience at the moment, it arises. As soon as the experience ceases, it ceases. Like this sound. This sound was not here before we listen in it. After we listen in it, it doesn't remain. Our whole experience, whatever we see, whatever we taste, whatever we smell, whatever we touch, whatever we think, all experience like that. But our ordinary mind, ordinary understanding doesn't believe it. That is why we can't overcome suffering completely. For example, when you see someone who has helped you, you are pleasant. Because your mind suddenly goes to the past experience. When you see someone who has blamed you, as soon as you remember, you see that person, you get angry. Because your mind suddenly goes to past. Not only your mind going to past, but your mind lives in the past experience. A person can blame you once if you are ignorant. If you don't know the meaning of impermanence, you are blamed again and again. That is the thing what happens to our life. And all Buddhist doctrines focus on how we overcome this delusion. If we want to overcome this delusion, knowledge is very important. First of all, we should understand how suffering arises. That is very important. The process of arising of suffering should be understood by a person who wants to go on the path of liberation. Knowledge is very important. Knowledge is wealth. Not only knowledge, but we should think according to what we are listening. Again and again we should think it. Thinking is very important. That is the second technique. And third one is meditation. These three things are very important. Knowledge, first of all, we should understand the process of arising of suffering, and we should think it again and again, whenever we can. And also by practicing meditation. According to Buddhism, there are two major meditation techniques, samatha and vipassana. Samatha means keeping our attention in the present moment with a wholesome object, and with concentrated mind we should reflect on impermanence again and again. I is impermanent, forms are impermanent, like this again and again we think. Finally, we have to reflect on only thing, that the mind. Our entire life is a thought. Even though we think, I have a lot of things, I have a lot of qualifications, I have a lot of relatives, we say a lot of things in our life, but our entire life is a present thought. Like, we think, we say that I live 48 years, I think you may say that I have lived 22 years, 33 years, a lot of years. But our life is a thought, a present thought, one thought. You can see a river. Sometimes you may say that the length of river is 100 miles, 1000 miles. But what is the length of the river? One drop. Our entire life is a thought. If we can succeed the present thought with mindfulness and mindful meditation, our entire life is successful. All Buddhist doctrines focus on how we succeed the present thought. For that, we should be skillful. What is the skillfulness that Buddhism says? Full attention, awareness, mindfulness. Whenever we are away from mindfulness, it means we have suffering. We are suffering. Whenever we are away from mindfulness, it means we are in the field of Mara or devil. Whenever we are in the field of mindfulness, we are in the field of the Buddha. Not only mindfulness, as we mentioned before, mindful meditation. Mindful meditation, both of them are very important. Living in the present moment, awareness of our body and mind, and we should think the present thought as impermanent. Yes?
The person that never forgives, that has resentment and no forgiveness, is living in the permanent. Is, not impermanent. Permanent, he's thinking with the matter, whatever.
Actually, forgiveness in the primary level. When we go to the deeper level, we have no person to forgive. When we reflect on impermanence, we don't meet a person to forgive. Forgiveness is a primary technique. Even practicing loving kindness is a primary technique in the ordinary level, in the conventional truth. When we reflect on ultimate truth according to impermanence, reflecting on impermanence, we don't need to forgive anyone because we don't find anything or any person outside. We see only a present thought. Not only we see a present thought, but we reflect on it as impermanence. Practicing generosity, practicing loving kindness, forgiveness, all things are in the primary techniques, in the primary level. But it is very important. If you go to another country by a plane, you should go to the airport first. If you go to an airport, you should have your own vehicle, because flight doesn't come to your place. You should go to the airport first by your own vehicle. Like that. First of all, we should practice primary techniques such as generosity, loving kindness, forgiveness. Those are the primary techniques. But those are very essential in our day-to-day life. And even though mentally we are in the higher level, we have to live with the people who are ordinary people. That is why we should practice the primary techniques in Buddhism. They are very important. And we are talking about skillfulness. Have you any question? Yes, again, you can understand what we explained. Skillfulness, especially Buddhism says, ayatana kusalata, skillfulness in senses. That is the highest skill that we can develop in our life. What are the senses? Like eye, ear, nose, this. As soon as we experience something through our senses, if we can keep guard, watcher in our senses, then our mind doesn't go to outside. We can recognize anything, but as soon as we experience something, we know, we experience these things according to my mental conditions. Ordinary people think that we experience according to outside things and persons, but because we know the Dhamma, we experience this world because of not as the thing in the world, but according to our mental conditions. Now we can see only 6 persons here. When our mental conditions change, we can see more people in the world, around us. Now we can see only this wall. We can see through the wall. When our mental conditions changes, our eye consciousness changes, then we can see more things. It depends on our mental condition. Sometimes it goes down, sometimes it goes up. That is why when some people are very weak, end of their life, they see a lot of bad scenes around them at the end of their life. There are some people who have done a lot of good deeds in their lifetime. At the end of life, they see a lot of beautiful things around them. Before they die, not when they die, before they die, they can see many things than other people see. However, according to Buddhist says, skillfulness in senses is very important. As soon as we experience something through our senses, we should understand this experience arises according to my mental conditions. Then, as soon as we experience something, we look at inside. Ordinary people look at outside when we experience. Now we look at inside. We don't criticize others. We don't blame others. because reason is here. If your shadow in the mirror is ugly, do you blame the mirror? Like that. Our entire life is like that. Then here, actually, Buddha says, listening to Dhamma is one of the doors, one of the entrances that we liberate from suffering. If we listening to Buddha's real message, at the moment, our mind has the liberation from negative thoughts. That is why some people in the Buddha's time and after that, when they were listening to Dhamma, they have attained some kind of spiritual levels. Because they can purify their mind when they are listening to the message. And here it is very important, always we should understand, we should know whether my defilements increase or decrease when I listen to Dhamma. That is the place where we can see whether the message is true. If we are listening to true message, what Buddha explained, surely our defilement should reduce when we are listening to Dhamma. When we are listening to Dhamma, when we think Dhamma, when we meditate, everywhere, whatever we do in the name of the Dhamma, what Buddha taught, our defilements should reduce little by little. And finally, we develop by skillfulness. What are these skills? As we mentioned before, we develop our happiness, we reduce negative thoughts, we develop positive thoughts. Finally, we create a skill. Skillfulness in senses. We are very aware of our senses. We always keep watchers or guard in our senses. Then suddenly, we look at inside. When other people look at outside and blame others, we look at inside, then we control our mind. We reflect on impermanence. This is the path Buddha says how we develop our skillfulness. On this path, as we mentioned before, we should have 3 primary qualities. Intelligence, gently spoken or active listening, and honesty. These qualities are very important. Okay? On the other side, our skillfulness, that where we can see, as I explain always, I explain Buddhist GPA and IQ. Prananda, can you remember? I always explain Buddhist GPA and IQ.
No, that I don't. Mindfulness and wisdom.
Yes, GPA means the duration of our concentration meditation. How long we can keep our attention in a wholesome objects, such as loving kindness, breathing meditation, those are the techniques. Even though our college GPA is very high, if we can concentrate our mind at least 1 minute, actually, Buddhist GPA is not high. If you want to increase your Buddhist GPA, you have to concentrate your mind for a long time. That is the place where we can see our real success, real skillfulness. The duration of practicing concentration meditation. Not only closing our eyes, but concentrating our mind in an object, wholesome object. Okay, the second one is IQ. What is the Buddhist IQ? Intelligence quotient. the duration of reflecting on impermanence. Reflecting on impermanence. The duration of reflecting on impermanence which happens to our mind. Our mind always arises and ceases. Our internal senses, external objects arise at the moment when we open our eyes, when we open our senses. That is the ultimate truth. But ordinary people think that before we experience there is something outside. It is true. All regulations, rules depends on this truth, conventional truth. But it is not true far from ultimate truth. According to ultimate truth, we create something at the moment. There is nothing as ready-made. We create something at the moment. For example, if you think your brother, if you think now he is ill, he is sick, your mind is so kind. If you think your brother has a misbehavior, then you are angry. From moment to moment, according to your mental conditions, you experience changes. But outside things is same. The thing is, we create those things at the moment. Buddhist IQ means, if we can increase the duration of reflecting on impermanence, it means our IQ is very high. These are the places we can see our happiness, our skillfulness. Even though someone has very high GPA and IQ, when someone blames them, they are unhappy, they are angry. But if you have these qualities, you never get angry with anyone knowingly. These are the real educational qualities. Buddha says, if we have known this message, if a person has practiced these qualities, he is a learned person. He is a learned person, educated person. He is an educated person. If someone hasn't studied and practiced this message, he is not an educated or learned person. Sutava Arya Savako. Sutava means in Pali language, educated or learned. He is a learned, educated person. Because he knows the process of arising and ceasing of suffering.
Is that the same, that awareness? Because I never heard this. IQ, I heard that.
No,
but awareness is you're aware that you are right now living that moment.
Yes.
Or what you see, or the action. Whatever action is happening in this very moment, I'm aware. When you're aware constantly at every moment, is what the result of the mindfulness and the meditation.
Yes, actually both of them depend on mindfulness, awareness. Okay, the foundation of mindfulness. The foundation of both of them is mindfulness.
Because you even show it to people. Maybe like you said, the people are hungry all day long, they're busy doing something. You come with this feeling of good that you transport it to other people. Somehow they look at you and like, oh, how you doing? You know, like they change completely the presence of hunger or busy or people like that. This is a beautiful experience.
Yes, yes, you are true. Actually, it is the benefits of others. It is benefit of the first benefit is to our life. Buddha says, first of all, we should make a refuge for our life. Then automatically it goes outside too. It is the secondary result. The primary result come to our life. Sometimes we can control other people. Even Buddha couldn't do it sometimes. Even though we are very good people, sometimes they don't agree with us. We can control sometimes. But if we have good thoughts, sometimes we can control them. But sometimes we can do. Whether we can or not, if we have made a refuge in our life, we have a safety. That is the very important thing. Okay? Usually when people see some virtuous persons, Buddha's disciples, actually they are so pleasant, they are good, they are obeyed to us. It is the common thing, but not always. Sometimes we can control them. If we always want to control others, sometimes we get upset. Because we see result from outside. We can see the result from outside. We should result from inside. That is very important. Okay, the other thing is sometimes people think that if we practice Dhamma, we are healthy physically. It's not always. Sometimes it may be, but not always. Our healthy depends on our mental health. Sometimes even Buddha became some illnesses, physical illnesses. Sometimes it influences our physical body, but not always. The security that comes to our life for our mind, not for our physical body. And here it is very important to understand the result of practicing Dhamma. Dhammo have rakkati Dhammacharin. It means he who practices Dhamma is protected by the Dhamma. It means not a material protection, physical protection, mental protection. We make a guard, we make a refuge inside. Then sometimes we can influence other people, sometimes we can do it. Even Buddha couldn't do it sometimes.
We have sometimes this perception, like you see a person, you feel like he's mad or I don't want to talk to him. But then I feel like I'm going to pretend he's okay and say, how you doing? Even though I don't want to do it. And then I'm surprised that the reaction of the other man was very positive to me. Then I noticed that I was wrong to begin with. And this is a game of...
Yes, you are correct. But the thing is that when we practice Dhamma, we are always honest.
Well, it takes a while.
Whatever we do, whatever we smile, we always do it honestly. We never cheat others. Sometimes we blame others, but we do it kindly. There are some people who laugh with others, cheating them. But here the special thing is, when we go forward in Dhamma, even we want to control others, we never cheat others. That's the difference. Some people may think that if we laugh with, if we smile with some people, we can control them. But we also do sometimes, but we do it kindly, with compassion, not by cheating them. Okay, thank you for your good listening. We especially today discussed the skillfulness, what Buddha taught, and little by little we discussed it. And the end of this sermon, I would like to say you that we meet a path as the result of practicing, learning this message, Noble Eightfold Path. That is the main teaching in Buddhism, and Noble Eightfold Path. Sammaditthi, Samma Sankappa, right vision or right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. This is the path. Little by little, when we listen to Dhamma, we develop our understanding. And we think according to loving kindness and generosity, then our thoughts, our thinking pattern is pure and correct. Then automatically our words are correct. When our vision is correct, when our heart is pure, then our word is pure and correct. And also our actions, physically and verbally, are correct, and our living pattern, livelihood is correct, and our effort, our courage is correct, and we have real correct mindfulness and concentration. We always purify our mind using concentration meditation techniques. Okay, thank you for your good listening. And day by day, we explain the same message. Okay, even though we conduct a lot of classes, we have to explain only this message. But day by day, we go to the deeper level. Buddha also explained, before and now I explain only two things to the world. They are suffering and the cessation of suffering. Buddha says, he has to explain to the world only two things: suffering and cessation of suffering. What is the suffering? If you think there is something outside, you are in suffering. You are not away from aging, sickness and death if you think there is permanent something outside. If you think the things that I experience outside are created by my own mind, at the moment, if you are mindful and with mindful meditation, then you are away from suffering. That is the cessation from suffering. Day by day, we should go to this circle, mindful circle, from the ordinary world circle. That is our real success, real skillfulness. For that, I wish you all the best. By the power of all these spiritual thoughts that we acquired here, may our departed relatives also receive this spiritual energy. May they also attain final bliss of liberation. With that intention, let's transfer these merits to our departed relatives too. Idam me ñāti nam hotu sukhita hontu. Idam me ñāti nam hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. Idam me ñāti nam hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. By the power of all these meritorious thoughts, may guardian deities and angels also receive these merits, and may they enhance their spiritual energy. May they protect you. May they also attain final bliss of liberation. With that intention, let's transfer these merits to guardian deities and angels too. Ākāsattā ca bhummattā devā nāgā puññantaṃ anumoditvā cirang rakkantu sāsanam. Ākāsattā ca bhummattā devā nāgā mahiddhikā puññantaṃ anumoditvā cirang rakkantu desanam. Ākāsattā ca bhummattā devā nāgā mahiddhikā puññantaṃ anumoditvā cirang rakkantu tvaṃ sadā. By the power of all these meritorious thoughts, may you be well, happy and peaceful. May your all righteous wishes meet with success. Finally, may all of us attain final bliss of liberation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dukkham panthā ca niddukkha, bhayam panthā ca nibbhaya, sokam panthā ca nissokha, hontu sambe pipānino. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.